Hey everyone, and welcome to Character Spotlight, the series that looks at the interesting stories of media characters across the spectrum. Today's story is about Scrooge McDuck, a character that you may know from the Walt Disney Company, specifically for the cartoon show DuckTales, which ran from 1987 to 1990. Scrooge McDuck is a very successful character in that he's worked hard all of his life and acquired massive amounts of riches. He is probably the richest Disney character in all of existence. Now, with Marvel under their roof, that might be a bit questionable with Tony Stark, but he's true Disney through and through. I'm giving it to Scrooge. Come at me, Iron Man. Please don't come at me. But, yeah. So this video is basically about, looking at the character of Scrooge McDuck. Who created him, what inspired him, and, also his story from the very beginning when he started in comics in the 1940s to what he ultimately became in the 1990s with the DuckTales series. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's check out the story of Scrooge McDuck. Hey everyone, and welcome to the character origins, basically taking a quick look at some of the inspirational elements behind Scrooge McDuck. Now, really quick, I'm going to start out with some of the obvious stuff, and then work into the more obscure things. For instance, he is a duck, as noted in the name, but what you may not know is that he is actually based on a breed of duck that is found in the real world, known as the American Pekin duck, because of the yellow bill and yellow feet. Very cool and interesting. Second, he is uncle to Donald Duck, apparently on his mother's side. Now, in all of my research, that didn't come up as a relevant thing, but I found it, and I'm going to share that with you, because I have to. Otherwise, it was pointless, and I am not dealing with that. Okay? Mother's side, cool, interesting fact. Don't complain about it. Okay? Otherwise, I'll be very sad. But, and then also, his first name was Scrooge. An interesting thing is he's kind of based off of another famous Scrooge character. You may know Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol that features Ebenezer Scrooge. An old rich man who is miserly, kind of a cheap guy. And you characterize Scrooge McDuck as. Both characters do go through their own story arcs and do become nicer, better people. So, there's that bit of interesting stuff. Now, for a cool, interesting, little obscure tidbit, Scrooge's, character design may be based off of a Disney animated short known as The Spirit of 43. Basically, this was a short that featured Donald Duck. It was a propaganda film about, money. I know. Go figure. Basically, Donald would come into some money, and, as the cartoon cliche thing of, the good conscience and the bad conscience, Donald had to face those two characters. And one of those characters, the good conscience, was a Scottish duck. Really quick, here's a picture.
One, the thrifty.
Wait a bit, laddie. You're going to save a bit of that, aren't you?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so, let's see, really quick. Obviously, both ducks, so that checks out. The interesting sideburn detail, that's cool. And then, the third thing is, the Scottish kilt, and I believe the character in the short also had a Scottish accent. So, Scrooge obviously has some modifications from that version of the character, but, a Scottish duck character. I'm not going to concretely say, he 100% inspired this character, but there are a lot of similarities, so it's going to be an extreme possibility. That's all I'm saying. And also, really quick, I would like to state that Scrooge starts, in Donald Duck comics, kind of as, an antagonist character to Donald at times. And eventually, in 1952, he got his own series, which is still currently running in 2017. And, I just have to say, that's crazy. 60 plus years of comic publication, as well as, film appearances, video game appearances, etc. And obviously a reboot now. So that's pretty cool. And that's all I really have to say on character origins. Now, let's look at Scrooge's story. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Scrooge's story part of the video. Basically, I'm just going to go over what bit of history I do have for Scrooge McDuck's life in the Duck universe. So, really quick, he was born in Glasgow, Scotland, to a moderately sized family, about 3 or 4 kids, mom and dad, all that stuff. Scrooge McDuck pretty much worked hard all of his life, leaving school at an early age. I want to say somewhere around the age of 8, if I recall. He started out as a shoe shine, and one day he'd been shoe shining for a bit, and he eventually shoe shined for, they don't name the character, but a man who would go on to change Scrooge's life. Basically, this character gave Scrooge a US dime. This was the late 1800s, and US currency wasn't accepted in Scotland. So, understandably, Scrooge got mad about this. And it led him to his life's motto: I'm going to become smarter than the smarties and tougher than the toughies. Because if you want to be successful, you have to be smart and tough. And if you're the best at both, you're going to be the most successful in theory. Also, luck seems to be a factor, I think. But anyway. So yeah, that started Scrooge on his path of working hard and becoming the best, because he figured out those two things at an early age, and I have to applaud him for that. That takes a good level of intelligence, I would say, to figure those two things out so early. After that, Scrooge would go on to become a cabin boy on, a cattle shipping ship that was on a trip to the United States. From there, Scrooge would work different odd jobs, have crazy adventures, which would ultimately lead him to Alaska during the time of the gold rush, where Scrooge would find a golden nugget about the size of a goose egg, so yay big, roughly. And 1 year after that, he would ultimately go on to make his first $1 million. From there, Scrooge, for the most part, would make his money being something of a treasure hunter. Basically, he would collect whatever books, scripts, travelogues, etc. that he could, and gather them all in one place, giving him a very cool, interesting, extensive library. Now, really quick, for reference, this was in the 1900s. Scrooge settled in Duckburg in 1902, established his money bin and his mansion and everything like that in the years to come, and again, because this is the early 1900s, this was before the internet and things like that. So he gathered all this information in one place, giving him a very cool, extensive library. So despite the lack of education, he is very well read and knows things. I found a long list of languages that he knows, including Dutch, German, Arabic, a few Chinese languages. It's crazy. But the way Scrooge would settle on, what treasures to hunt would be, he would start looking at, different legends, like, treasure in the Himalayas, or the Spanish conquistadors, or things of that nature. And he would just go with whatever his gut said, this is a good thing. I get something from this. He would also look at history, ships' travel logs, Columbus sailing to India or America, or other adventurers. This ship got lost at sea in blank area or whatever, and he would try and figure out, okay, where's the ship, where's their treasure. So for the most part, it seems like a lot of Scrooge's treasure hunting success is due to luck, because he does his research, so I give him respect for that, but it takes a lot of luck to find, oh hey, here's this, catch of conquistador gold or Aztec gold or what have you. And yeah, after that, we just get led into, the stories of the DuckTales series. Basically, Scrooge going on adventures and, beating up bad guys with his nephews and occasionally Donald. Other than that, there's not really much else I can say for the life and times of Scrooge McDuck. Though I would like to point out, it is because of an Italian Disney writer named Romano Scarpo that Scrooge got his debut in 1952 as his, protagonist comic book character, and would eventually go on to be, do DuckTales and such. One other, interesting thing that I found in my research was, I guess in, European comics, he's a bit different. He's more of, an anti-hero-ish type of person. Not as... I don't know, it's interesting, just seeing that, the United States has their version of Scrooge, whereas European countries have their version. It's a bit different, but, I don't know, it's still interesting. So, with that said, I guess I'll just go into my final personal conclusions and wrap up the video. So, moving forward... Well, everyone, we hit the end of the video. And really quick, because I have some familiarity with Scrooge McDuck, I wanted to take a moment and report some personal thoughts and opinions. And, first off, I want to say it was cool and interesting learning about his comic book origins and how in other countries, he's portrayed a bit differently than he is here in the States. I knew of Scrooge McDuck from DuckTales mainly, and then, Mickey's A Christmas Carol. And learn about, just some of the cool, interesting things. It was nice, and it's definitely given me more of an appreciation for the character of Scrooge. He's not just some rich old guy. He's a guy who has a family and, earned his way to the top, by working hard and, doing the best he could, and obviously he was successful. And his story is also inspiring because it shows us, that with the right amount of luck, skill, and determination, maybe you can become the richest duck or person in the world. So, anyway, I hope you picked up something cool or interesting from the Scrooge McDuck character spotlights. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please leave them in the comment section below. And, yeah. So, as always, everyone, have fun, stay safe, and remember, every character has a story to tell. I'm Valiant Bradley James, the character investigator. Peace. Hey guys, Valiant Brad here really quick, just giving you the update for the coming videos for June 25th, 2017. The first video for the month is going to be the Doctor Who Season 3 retrospective. I got this done early May, but in preparation for Colossal Con, I recorded it early, and now it's going to be released. And then the second video for June is going to be a character spotlight / end of the road video for Edward Blaylock, a voice actor who some of you may remember from Full Metal Alchemist as Hero Bradley, Master Makarov from Fairy Tail, Sengoku from One Piece, the Funimation English dub, among other roles. He unfortunately passed away in April of cancer. I forget which kind, but it's unfortunate to hear, and because it's a recent thing, I want to at least give it some time. And also, one of my friends had approached me and said, hey, I know you record the videos about voice actors and such, and if you want to do a video on Mr. Blaylock, I would love to contribute. So, With that said, my buddy Ryan will be contributing, some thoughts and maybe making an appearance in the video for Mr. Blaylock. So again, just a quick recap and annotations and links. The Doctor Who Season 3 retrospective and the end of the road / character investigation for Mr. Edward Blaylock. As always, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something cool, fun, or interesting from it. And if you want, like, comment, and to keep updated on all the videos that I'm releasing, subscribe.